Good morning. And thank you, President Schaetberger, for the introduction and for your friendship over these years. I have enjoyed our conversations very much, and I always look forward to getting together with you, so thank you. You already know this, but I want to make very clear to your members that I appreciate this invitation greatly. I've known the IAFF since my time at the Justice Department, as the President mentioned, and I've always made it a point to listen and respect your concerns. Now, we have a vision for firefighters, and folks will use adjectives like strong, tough, brave. For years, you've heard these descriptions from speakers like me, and so just up front, let me add my name to the list of public officials that admire you and that admire your work. That's what we know. What I want to talk about today is something a little different. And here's what most people don't know, but something that, after a few conversations with your president and a little bit of research, I have come to deeply believe. Your job takes a heavy toll, even on the strongest, the toughest, and the bravest. When the public sees a fire, when the public sees an accident, they know it's dangerous. They know that it's tough. What they don't know and they don't see is the effects that it has when the fire's been defeated, when the hose turned off, when the adrenaline stops to run. All of you and your members are standing near people every day. For the person that you're near, that day is likely one of their worst nightmares. For you, it's another day on the job. You swoop in the nick of time to save people from tragedy, and then you go home and you take those scenes with you. The pleas, the tears, the faints. And I've been struck by that, and that's something I think we don't talk nearly enough about. And so when President Schaetberger told me about the Centers of Excellence, I was very interested in visiting one, and I visited. And the IAFF Center for Excellence for Treatment and Recovery in Maryland is outstanding. I met the doctors, the administrators. They're working to get firefighters back to what they do best. What struck me is that the way you've approached it is unique. Because rather than say, this is a facility, you say, this is a station house. Rather than say, we need to provide care, you say, we need to provide brotherhood and sisterhood. Individuals are housed in what looks like station houses, recognizing that you draw your strength from each other. The caregivers make clear that we need to embrace every firefighter when facing challenges like PTSD and when facing challenges like opioids. And I want to talk a little bit about this because I think as stress levels go up, this is an issue that's not just unique to your profession, but it's an issue that unfortunately is across society. You all have a lot of stress, you deal with a lot of death, and so things like PTSD are forefront for you. But at a general level, the effects of, the number of individuals that are resorting to things like opioids has gotten really, really bad. President Obama's chairman of economic advisors conducted a study, and our Bureau of Labor Statistics has conducted another study. And I cite both of those because I want to make the point that this really is a bipartisan issue. Depending which study, between 44 and 47% of prime age males outside the labor force, males 25 to 55 who aren't working, took a painkiller yesterday. That's a really high number. And about a third took an opioid. Again, President Obama's chief economic advisor, are on Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are bipartisan facts. And as a society, this is something we need to address. But we also need to recognize that as we do so, we need to change the way we think about issues like addiction and issues like PTSD. I found out last week that Florida is looking at changing its approach to PTSD for firefighters. That there's a bill pending that would acknowledge that when you serve your community needs to step up and acknowledge that with tough jobs come tough issues, and that it's hard for individuals to stand up and say, we need help, when it's their job to help others. But that it does happen, and when those individuals need help, it's a workers' comp issue. It is a work-related issue. And I was very pleased to see that Florida is looking at this issue. 2 other states, Maine and Vermont, have already adopted a policy that encourages firefighters to come forward to combat PTSD by opening up workers' compensation programs. And I mentioned to President Schaetberger that I think this is a very important issue, and that I look forward to being his partner on this, because for 2 reasons. One, you deserve it. But secondly, we need to stop discouraging folks from saying we need help, when in fact it is their jobs that have put them in the position to require that help. We need to recognize that even the toughest and the strongest, when they see death and tragedy every single day, need a break every now and then. And so I was very gratified for the opportunity to visit your Center for Excellence. And more generally, I'm gratified for the opportunity to be your partner. You serve your communities and your nation. I know this as Labor Secretary. I know this when I was U.S. Attorney, the federal prosecutor in Miami, and interacted with first responders at a local level on a daily business. What you do truly matters, and I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a thoughtful